So, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to some part of the world. My name is Prashanth Nair, and we are back with another edition of the FIIOB podcast. Before I actually go ahead and introduce the panel, I would ask you to subscribe to our channel and also follow the FIIOB TV where you can watch live matches. So, it's going to be a game where I think where one of you has to go through, but neither of you deserve to go through because of the performances which you showed in the last game. So, we are talking about Chelsea versus Real Madrid. The score is at 1-1. Chelsea obviously have a away goal advantage. They have a foot on the throat of the champions, ex-champions of Champions League, and Real Madrid on the other hand would be very happy with the draw, but they would have expected to seal the tie long back. So I have Rajdeep and Shubhodip who are going to represent Real Madrid, and I have Ritankar and Deepan who are going to represent Chelsea. So I'll straight away go to Shubhodip. Shubhodip, was 1-1 a fair result considering how Madrid played that day, or you really thought that you deserved at least 2-3 goals and you didn't want that pressure at Stamford Bridge when you play them?
I think 1-1 was a very lucky result for us. I think a fair result would have been 3-1 or something like that. We were thoroughly outplayed in the first half, but I think we got on level footing in the second half, but then we didn't create too many chances. And I think this is going to be somewhat of a mirror reflection of the United Madrid tie from, well, way back in 2013, something I am sure you remember very well.
Yeah, of
The
course, the
United were
unfair red card,
probably the
unfair red
better
card.
team. That's a very different debate, but United were the
Yeah,
better
very
team for
different debate. I
180
agree.
minutes, and
Xabi Alonso
Chelsea
goading the referee to
and
give a red card.
and
Yeah.
Chelsea could end up replicating both the result and the performance. But so far, it's still on even footing. We'll have to see what happens.
So Ritankar, I'll just go to you in that sense because what he said that it's level footing, etc., etc. But Ritankar, won't you guys be happy to come back with a one goal, or you think that what Madrid actually didn't turn up that game? It was our best chance to close that game then and there. You should have scored 2-3. I mean, Thibaut Courtois, did that save against Timo Werner, and I was like, my goodness. Pulisic had a fantastic game. He made sure that Marcelo goes back to his election duties and does not play football again. Overall, Chelsea as a team played well. Cruz did not turn up. He was tired. He was fatigued. And that's why I want to ask you that, don't you think that you should have buried the tie then and there? Or was it just miscalculated approach by Thomas Tuchel?
No, absolutely, I agree with you. So if you had asked me this question before the game, I would have said that this is an amazing result. But given the way we played, right, from the start, we actually pressed them, we had control of the ball, we dominated the midfield, and we created some very clear-cut chances. Now, chances can be both ways, right? So the chances were clear-cut chances, and we should have taken them. And that was a golden opportunity for us. And like you said, it would have definitely ended the tie. At least on a common retrospective that okay, we have three away goals, but we missed those chances, and sometime or the other, Karim Benzema had to come out and score, and that was basically inevitable. And trust me, I was the way he was playing, the way Benzema was carrying the team. I was just expecting, and we were just discussing among ourselves that like, this is coming. When he hit the post once, I was like, okay, this can't happen twice.
Even the
And then
Vinicius Wala run and where
yes,
Benzema
yes,
moved
yes,
inside,
yes,
and I
yes,
was like, okay, the goal is here
yes,
or there. Matter of time
yes.
now.
And even after the first half, so you say those missed chances, right? It also takes a mental setback. Like those missed chances after first half against Madrid, they are UCL giants, and like we were so good in that first half, but we could not make most of it out of it. And given as a fan, I was in the first half, I was like, okay, let's just be like this only. Let's not concede more. But the way second half we controlled the game. I was very happy with the performance, but in UCL semi-final at the end of the day, and you cannot miss chances like this, and definitely not against teams like Madrid. So let's see what happens in the second half.
Fair enough. I
Second
mean,
leg, sorry.
fair assessment of the time. And Dipan, this is where I want to actually go to you. Before we started recording, you said Anthony Rudiger might have just showed his best performance for Chelsea throughout his, lifetime or career at Chelsea. I just want to ask you this: what did he do right in that game where you had to make such statement? I mean, we all know Rudiger is a talented centre back. Of course, from what happened last year, everyone thought that his time is up at Chelsea. He'll just go now, matter of time. He isn't having his consistent run. Lampard doesn't seem to trust him, so on and so forth. but he just stood in that Chelsea defense and played as if, you know what, I am not letting anyone have a shot for free. Why do you say that he had the best performance that night?
I mean, who played on the right for Madrid?
No one actually.
Exactly. There was no one else
exactly.
vacant. There was no one.
Exactly. So that I think proves how well Rudiger played. I mean, I don't even remember anyone playing on the right for Madrid. And Carvajal, I saw him like when he got injured at the
Bullet,
last.
man.
So yeah, couldn't believe that Rudiger can play like that. I mean, he was barely out of position. You know, we used to call him Black David Luiz because how much out of position he always used to get. But you know, he showed enormous pace. He showed good understanding of the game. He was rarely out of position. He completely, I don't even remember who played on the right side for Madrid. So he made that player absolutely irrelevant. So, yeah.
No, actually, no one played. We had Vinicius and Benzema, so both were lefty. We had no one on the right
I
side.
mean, I'll tell you what, Benzema probably played in every position in that game.
Apart
he
from
actually
midfield, he
plays
almost
in,
played everywhere.
Yeah,
he
he played
actually
everywhere.
plays in every position. He starts
Yeah.
up the attack.
I
He
actually
helps
saw
build
Benzema on the right a few times. So, yeah.
he dribbles both the sides.
Correct. He
Just
was running
goes
from the
around.
right couple of moments, but then that's because there is no one on the left side for right side for Madrid. Rajdeep, sorry.
Actually, the person who was on the right side was Marco, better left foot than Lionel Messi Asensio.
Was he present?
No, he was invisible. They sent him for a break. They're like, अभी hype ज़्यादा हो गया, थोड़ा तुम break ले लो.
I would like to add a point here. I mean, one of the most important qualities from Rudiger in that game, we saw that the way he was driving the ball forward from the back, and he was doing it with so much pace and
The
so much
Thiago Silva
confidence.
effect.
Very, and it was brilliant. Like Deepan said, I was like at that day I was like we had a group and I was like that if someone abuses Rudiger from now, he would be banned without any question.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He actually said that.
Fair enough. So Rajdeep, this is where my question goes to you. Remember during the game when we were messaging and talking, and you said that Marcelo has started. I don't know what to expect, and that's exactly what happened. He was caught sleeping, and you told me very clearly that Marcelo is going to be the X factor. He is the X factor for Chelsea today. He just left Pulisic for dead. So I just want to understand what exactly is the problem there. Is it Marcelo being outplayed in a back four, or do you really think that you know what everyone has figured him out? मतलब भाई time खत्म हो गया, and like you always say, Italy जाओ दोस्त के साथ मजे करो.
Marcelo has always been out of position when he plays in defense. That is not a new thing. He has been out of position since 2017, I would say. Like he is amazing in attack. He was actually. He's not that good anymore. But in defense, he was never there. And
Marcus
now
Alonso
that
light.
no, actually Marcos Alonso is Marcelo Light. But I like that. So now that Pulisic was playing, Marcelo was literally ball watching, and when the ball came from the left side of Chelsea field, he just left Pulisic to run and take the ball because like, even Varane was hoping that Marcelo would get his player, but even Varane was also shocked that भाई जाने दो तो जाने ही दो क्या फायदा रख के.
Subhadeep, I want to ask you about a special player from Chelsea who I thought had a game which is his regular game. For anyone who watches Premier League, right? That's what N'Golo Kante does. That's what he does. He just does not let your midfield breathe. And on the other side, you had Toni Kroos who was off the game, which is very unlike Toni Kroos. Toni Kroos didn't have a very great game as per his standards. So in that matchup between Kroos and Kante, what exactly went wrong for Kroos and what did Kante do right? Because I clearly remember Kante was just running at Casemiro and Kroos. He was just not letting both of them settle. Apart from that, Kante also did what he usually does, which is to track wherever the ball is and just win the ball back.
I think Kante has just too much of energy to burn. He always has that on the pitch, and the other night was no exception. And with Toni Kroos, it was a case of fatigue. He's just overplayed so much that he couldn't just give it anymore. And the same happened to Luka Modric. He barely looked effective, but that's why in the last two La Liga games, neither of them have started. I think Modric came on as a substitute in one of them, but neither of the two have started because Zidane knows that if they continue to play this way, they will be out of steam and there will be nothing to stop Kante from doing that again. And I think the formation was not all right. I think we were too wide which gave Kante lots of space to just run into. And even more importantly, he was winning those 1v1s, which was very important. Just getting that fraction of a second ahead and leaving them for dead. And it means that Cruz or Casemiro, they cannot make a challenge, because if they make a challenge, they're on a card and they'll probably not play the second leg.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ritankar, I just want, we mentioned about probably one of the best players who was in that game was N'Golo Kante. But I also want to mention a name about a player who I don't know how long will you guys keep giving him the rope. It's Timo Werner. Okay. He was decent in the game, but that's not what you expect from a striker, right? I mean, you expect at least a shot at the goal. I mean, there was in the 10th or 11th minute, he shot straight at Courtois. Whenever he has the tight angle, he always takes the wrong option. You can give once, you can give a chance twice, but throughout the season, Timo Werner looks like this amateur striker who's just overawed by the occasion and the club which he's playing for. He suddenly, even in the West Ham game, he had a great game. There was no doubt about it. His goal was superb, but then it just looked like, अरे ये तो वही Timo Werner है पूरा साल जो Chelsea खेला. How long will you guys keep giving him rope? Or is it time that, मतलब हाँ ठीक है, Werner is one for future, but I think it's time for Giroud to start this game against Madrid.
No. So basically the thing with Timo Werner, what I feel is, Timo Werner, it's not like he has not adjusted to this league. Like if I talk about it this way, in Bundesliga last season, he scored a lot of goals, right? So definitely he knows how to finish. Otherwise, it was not possible for him to score so many goals. Because in this season for Chelsea, the goals that he missed were absolute stickers. It's not like he's not getting in position. It's not like he's not making those runs. It's not like he's not taking on defenders. He's making those runs. He's getting those assists.
This is like this Alexander Pato returns, syndrome.
Yeah, no. See, I would say that he's doing everything right apart from just putting the ball in the right position. So I feel that will eventually come through. Maybe he's lacking confidence, and he's a brilliant player. We have seen it in the past. How good he was last season. I mean, how good was he? So he was. I think he scored about 30 goals last season. So and this season he has got a lot of assists under his belt. I think 11 assists, right, Deepan? So
15.
15, right now it's 15, correct. So 15 assists to his name. So he knows how to play in this league. He has adjusted to it, just that he knows he needs to work on his finishing. And if you ask me, playing Giroud against Madrid, not from the start. No, I think it should still be either Timo or Havertz.
Fair. I mean, I do understand the hesitation.
The pace that he has is still unmatched.
Fair. I think Shubhodip, you had a point to say. Go on.
Yeah, in terms of Timo Werner, a very frequent criticism of Bundesliga players has been that they play in a league where there is just too much attacking football. The lower teams do not sit back and try to prevent this shameful 5-0, 6-0 score lines, and therefore they afford you a lot of space. I think there was very recently a stat published in the group, I think it was as well. I think they were talking about the XG meter and how Timo Werner frequently gets into positions from where it is possible to score, to make a great shot on goal. I think I'm not exactly, I can't remember what the exact metric is, which actually shows that his problem is not what it is said to be, that he cannot get into those positions that from where he can score a goal. His problem has become pure finishing, which I think is not really dependent on the league. I think it's a personal thing.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with
just to add to both of your analysis, I just have a simple analogy to make. It's like saying I am a doctor, I can diagnose the disease, but I cannot prescribe you medicine. So what use are you a doctor of? If you are a striker, you can get in great position, but you can't score. Then what kind of a striker are you? For Bobby Firmino, defensive striker?
No, absolutely not. Your thing is right. Your question is right. But like I said, this problem will not last. I mean, he has finished the chances that I'm missing. Again, I'm analyzing on one point that the chances that he is missing are very easy chances. That are very easy sitters. That's
exactly my point, Ritankar. Like you rightly said in the start, it's Madrid. You cannot give them second chances. The game is going to be played by thin margins. Olivier Giroud, all his life, has become cult hero for two clubs, which is Arsenal and Chelsea. Second, what Olivier Giroud does is very simple thing, which is just get inside the box, score. He makes strikers look absolutely a joke because he plays football to the most basic level. in a very tough situation kind of a game, right? Don't you think someone who can make the game very simple, because all you have to do with Olivier Giroud is just either give him the cross, one, or play him along the lines, which Olivier Giroud is what he's been doing for years for clubs in Premier League. So that's why my question came in that sense, that isn't it easy to put a guy who has got an eye for big games, one, who knows how to score goals, two, third, and the most important point is probably it can help Timo Werner come off as a substitute, like you rightly said. He's got enough pace. He can get into those difficult positions where other people can't get to. Don't you think then? I'll just go to Deepan for that. So Deepan, don't you think that then case for Giroud starting becomes even more valid then?
So I get your point, but I would still say that if Timo doesn't start, I would start Havertz. So the thing is, Giroud is just too slow to play in such a game.
Yes.
I mean, you can't get around that fact. I mean, you have Pulisic, you have pacey players like Mount, Pulisic, or Ziyech, whoever plays on the wings. They are pacey players. We have Chilwell, Reece James running down the wings. I don't think the positions that Werner gets himself into, Giroud will ever reach that position to begin with. So if you bring him at a later point of time when the defense is tired, when our players are tired, he can probably match the pace. But from the start, I don't think we will be able to play the football that we want to play, because we look for pace, right? We are quite a pacey team, and we would need a centre forward or a false nine who has that pace.
Fair enough. I mean,
So
I do understand. Yeah, I mean, I do
Havertz
understand
should
when you
start.
said you rather have a Havertz or someone else start that
Yeah.
role if Timo Werner doesn't start because of the variation what these players bring. Talking about variation, Rajdeep, I want to mention about a player who does not have a lot of variations in his games, but he still gets the job done. He scored a wonder goal against Chelsea last time. All he had was half a chance. I'll not even say half a chance because I really thought that wasn't a goal, but then he just created a goal out of nothing, and what an absolute banger it was. What does Karim Benzema do, which none of these strikers, what these people mentioned, right? Kai Havertz, okay, fine, he's not a striker. Timo Werner, Olivier Giroud does. I think what he does personally is he scores. None of these guys do that.
The thing is, Karim Benzema does get into the spaces where the defenders just doesn't mark him. Like when he scored in the Chelsea game last time, no one was marking him. When Militao headed the ball into the box, like he was in the big box, but still, no, there was no one behind Benzema to pressure him. When Benzema took the ball, he got one touch and then he scored. There was no one tracking on him, but no one taking after the first chance. There was literally no one behind him.
That was because
And
Thiago Silva, for that moment, did not see. There was only one moment I saw Thiago
exactly,
Silva did not see.
exactly.
And
That's the
Benzema was
point.
exactly at that place.
He does exactly the same thing with in every game. He takes one chance. He just needs one moment where he just goes missing from the defender's field of vision, and that's the moment he scores.
Yeah, I was discussing this with a friend of mine. I was just telling him, if someone ranked Thiago Silva in that game, apart from Kante and Jorginho, there will be one player who will be ranked up there, will be Thiago Silva, because he had an absolute beast of a game. He just did not let anyone get inside the box. And there was a reason why everyone stood up and said, this is the Thiago Silva which Barcelona chased and chased from AC Milan. Or this is the Thiago Silva which Real Madrid chased and chased from AC Milan. He showed that kind of performance. And Karim Benzema, in that moment, right, he just made everyone forget Thiago Silva and he just scored that blinder. I mean, having talked about Karim Benzema so much, there is another perspective which I saw on Facebook today. Shubhodip, I would like to add you. A lot of Madrid fans are saying, thank God Varane is not playing. It's not that bad. Varane isn't that bad. But there are section of certain fans who are saying that good he's not playing, which means Eder Militao will play. Why do you think that there's this fall of grace for Rafael Varane because of injuries this year?
And I don't think it's just a case of injuries. I think either way, Varane and Milicia would have started. I'm not sure that Sergio Ramos is just going to come back into the starting 11 after having played only 125 minutes since January. I think Varane and Milicia would have anyway started, but I think the problem with Varane is the same problem that is with a lot of defenders these days. I would like to take Harry Maguire's name. even though I don't believe Harry Maguire is as good a defender, the thing that happens is these people make one mistake, an
I'm so
absolute
obliged
mistake.
in life that you actually compared Varane and Maguire.
No,
Well,
I'm just trying to draw an analogy here. If you look at Maguire's positioning and overall skills in that goal against Istanbul Başakşehir, he was all over the place and it was very poor defending. But that's not his basic level all throughout the season. But what happens is you take that moment, it becomes a compilation, it spreads all over the internet, and then it becomes the perception that
Bro,
he's a defender of that level,
I have
which
multiple clips of such sort, but yeah, I get your analogy, what you're trying to say. But my
yeah,
point here is that
which
Rafael
happened with
Varane,
Varane.
yeah, my point is that Rafael Varane is almost at the end of his contract, right? There are big clubs who are
Yeah,
circling around him. One of them is apparently Manchester
yeah.
United. Then there are other clubs in Premier League as well who are interested. And Varane also has publicly not said anything about extending his contract with Madrid because there's a lot of gray area in that matter. Apparently, as per what I've read, he's not happy with how the club has treated him. There was pay cut for the players because of the pandemic and stuff. Varane wasn't very happy with it. He expected a contract long back. Madrid did not offer him the contract. Now he's almost in the fag end of his contract, and he might just run it down, and that will be like a easy deal for any club to make it. That's why I asked you this: is it just a fall from grace? Because last year I remember when Rafael Varane played against Man City, he made that one mistake which costed the game, and I saw entire Man City set of fan base, putting a post saying that is this the so-called best defender in the world? Is this the guy who you're comparing to Virgil van Dijk, etc., etc.? And I was like, I actually don't remember a game where Rafael Varane made a mistake. Yeah, there are lapses here or there, but you know, you don't have any glaring mistakes with Rafael Varane throughout the season. While this season, whenever I watched Rafael Varane, I always felt that he wasn't comfortable. As a defender, if you don't have the joy to head the ball, clear the ball, tackle, then you're not doing a great job. One classic example of that is Andreas Christensen of Chelsea. Probably one of the best centre backs which Chelsea have had for quite some time. His loan deal at Borussia Mönchengladbach was top class. But since then, the guy's career is slightly on the downward trend because he got injured at the wrong time, wrong manager selection, policy here and there change, does not get a regular play time. Of course, he had a great game, etc., etc. So, is that a similar kind of a phobia which is haunting Rafael Varane as well, or is the contract issue playing in his head? That's my simple statement.
I think the contract issue started to become an issue from this year January. I think Rafael Varane had a really poor time from September last year to December last year. So those 4 months, that mostly includes the City game and that 4-1 Valencia game where he was all over the place, and uh, what I said, the rest of it happened. But I don't think it's just a contract issue because we have that with many players. We have that with Sergio Ramos. We have that with Lucas Vazquez. And I think this is one of the reasons I would go slightly off topic here that Perez wanted to go for the ESL because he believed that this way he would be able to keep. I'm not saying if it was the right move or if it was needed at that point, but from his point of view, that is what he needed to do to keep these players and probably bring in someone like an Mbappe or a Haaland and pay their wages post this pandemic.
There's one more player available, bro. If you want to take, you can take. That is Victor Lindelof. Good defender. But anyways, jokes apart, Ritankar, I want to ask you about, before we recorded this podcast and Deepan and you and me were talking about this one player who's due for a big game, which is Mason Mount. I mean, he has been phenomenal this season. For everyone who's always been saying that, he's Lampard's babysitting boy to whatever has happened throughout his career, right? Mason Mount has had a phenomenal season. Probably he might just win the PFA Player of the Year as well. For a lot of fans, they're saying that he's one of those players who have light up the Premier League, especially Chelsea, where they are. Mason Mount has played a big part of it. He's due for a big game. It's matter of time because even the last Madrid game, he made those runs, he made those passes. Do you think it's time for him to step up tomorrow so that he makes a statement to a lot of Chelsea fans saying that, you know what, I am here. Apart from all the comparisons, what you made with me and someone who managed, etc., etc. I'm here to stay. I'm just not a flash in the pan, which is a problem which Chelsea traditionally had, right? Some players start great and then they vanish. I'm not saying just Chelsea, even big, all the other clubs have it. So is that tomorrow is his big night for him to step up and show, boyhood club, step up the big game and just put out a statement for world football?
First of all, here, Prashant, I would like to say that it's a personal opinion right now, but Mason Mount is Chelsea FC right now. Okay, it's a very big statement, but I
I
think
completely second that.
more all Chelsea fans will. You say that he's due for a big game, but I actually don't agree to that because every game that he plays, apart from that West Brom game where he was played out of position, he didn't perform well. But every game he plays, he's still the best player in the team. I mean, if you see the last game we played on Saturday against Fulham, that assist, that touch, his first touch, his work rate, his professionalism, his will to perform, his never give up attitude. I mean, he plays for the badge, and he has been exceptional throughout the season. And I believe he will still be the most important player for tomorrow in our day after tomorrow's game. So Mason Mount is exactly what Chelsea, I believe, stands for. So everyone who made analogies and made fun of Mason, Lampard's son, Southgate's nephew, everything, I think they have all realized that that was a big mistake because Mason Mount has proved time and time again this season that he is here to stay, like you said, and we believe that he has been this club from his boyhood days, and he has absolutely he's living his dream right now, and he's right at the very top for Chelsea Football Club right now. And he is. I think he will be exceptional tomorrow too.
Fair enough. Rajdeep, to move on to you, right? We talked about Mason Mount from Chelsea. In terms of Madrid, there are a lot of players who are injured and doubtful as well. For example, Rafael Varane is most likely out of the game.
He's out.
Ramos is out, right? And Ramos is doubtful. He's fit, but then you don't know who's going to start. In that sense, what do you expect tomorrow's lineup would be from Real Madrid? Do you think you're going to play a back three again, or do you think you'll play a four?
Okay, this is a very tricky question currently. But if Ramos plays, because if he is fit, I'm sure, like I'm certain that Zidane won't let him sit on the bench and he will just start. So if Ramos plays, we will see a back four where most probably Nacho will go in the right side and Mendy will go in the left side with Militao and Ramos playing the center side centers. And you have your midfield three, that's always common. And then for the front, I guess Hazard will start on the left with Benzema. And now I will go a bit off track, but I want Asensio to play in the central midfield position, like CAM, like false nine position. So he played in that position a few games, like the last two games in the league and one game before against Eibar. He was absolutely beautiful. Like he thrives in the midfield position, like not too deep like Tony Cruz,
I have a
but
question to you, Rajdeep.
yes,
Asensio's hype, forget all the football what you just said. The hype for Asensio was because he played as a second striker, right? Not as a striker, more as a withdrawn striker, more as a forward. In that
exactly.
sense, for you to change the formation tomorrow in a just ahead of a big game, don't you think it'll put more pressure on him to perform? He's
No,
already not having a great season.
actually, Asensio plays from the right side. Usually, when we field the team, Asensio plays on right side. But in the last two games, when Cruz and Modric weren't playing, we started with Casemiro and Blanco in the central midfield, with Asensio as the head of the trident. So Zidane has already tried that position with him. So I think he might give it a shot in this game to see how he does, because we don't have anyone in the right side in like currently.
Shubhodip, any changes to what Rajdeep said, or do you think बस इतने ही बचे तो यही खेलेंगे अभी?
Yeah, I think this should be definitely be the starting lineup because, as you said, it's not like we have a lot of other choices anyway. But I'm not too sure about the change he said about Asensio because I remember Zidane making one such very specific change regarding another present Chelsea player who played for us. We have too much in common. That is Mateo Kovacic in a Clasico, and Sergio Busquets just ran all over him. We lost that game 3-0 despite dominating the first half. Uh, I think this will just be the starting lineup. We can't go with the back three again, not after what happened in the last game. We just got overrun. I think it has to be a back four, and whoever starts Nacho or Ramos, that just has to be it because we don't have a lot of options in the right side anyway. Valverde is just out with COVID, and Varane is again out. So, and once again in this match, I think a very key factor would be Eden Hazard because I think with Vinicius, no, not just because of the relationship with Eden Hazard and the two clubs, I don't think Vinicius right now is good enough for that impact. Yes, he was great against Liverpool, but the thing about Vinicius is that he's probably one of the best players in the world in a 1v1 situation. I think only bettered by Messi and Neymar. But you put two players on him and he's just marked out of the game. I think Hazard has more experience while managing that. And Chelsea, who are going to like defend narrow, we might need that.
Shubhadeep, what you just said, Hazard is the main man to watch out for the game. That's what Chelsea fans said that for 5, 6 years. That's what he did for a living. And he did it consistently on the biggest games again and again and again. So as much as you want Hazard to perform tomorrow, both Deepan and Ritankar would clearly know that if it's a big game, there was one person in Chelsea who always stood up. One was Didier Drogba and second was Eden Hazard. They have this love for this big game. Moving on from there, Ritankar, what do you think is the predicted lineup for Chelsea tomorrow? Because I have a feeling that Chelsea will not change what they did against Madrid. It was a good game, good team. Everyone almost outperformed each other to a certain extent, especially someone like Christian Pulisic, because I thought that he wouldn't start, but then he started the game and he was a difference for both the teams.
So I believe Havertz will Hazard. I was about to say Hazard. Oh my God, old habits. Okay, so Havertz will play as a striker, and we will have Mount and Pulisic right just behind him, and then we will be having Jorginho and Kante like we have, and the rest of this remains. Aspilicueta starts as a rising back, and we have the three centre backs in Thiago Silva, Rudiger, and AC and Christensen. So that's the main thing. And I want Havertz to start tomorrow because, like I said, it's either of Havertz and Timo, but Havertz is high on confidence right now. He scored 2 goals on Saturday against Fulham. He was looking very sharp. His touches were looking very, accurate, and he was playing brilliantly. So with his confidence and with everyone is looking good, I think we might have a chance.
Fair enough. Deepan, any changes in the lineup?
Okay, I also want Havertz to start as a false nine. Yeah. I want Aspilicueta to be RCB and Reece James as wing back. Because I think
I have this particular question to either of you. I mean, Deepan or Ritankar. What is it with Aspilicueta that it just does not look that he's off place anytime? Of course, he's had a very average season compared to what he usually has. But what is it that, special about Aspilicueta that almost every Chelsea fan says that, if he has a bad game, the entire team will have a bad game because he is a captain without a JT kind of an influence. John Terry had that influence of a captain where he had the armband where he walked and everyone just looked up to him and said, okay, that's my skipper. When Aspilicueta, who's not as tall as JT, but when he walks in, everyone still has a respect for Aspilicueta, but obviously a little less aura. But Aspi, if he has a bad game, everyone says that Chelsea usually have a bad game there.
Ritankar, where is your jersey?
This is the Mason Mount one. The first jersey I got was of Aspilicueta. I mean, let me answer this question. So I want to go on record that Aspilicueta is still my favorite player, in spite of the new signings and all. I absolutely adore him for the way he plays. Basically,
please correct me if my observation is wrong, because that's what I've usually heard from Chelsea fans. Yeah. That if he has a bad game, the team has had a bad game. It's
if
very
the topic
rare.
is Aspilicueta, I'll just let Ritankar speak because
we have had many debates about this. It's a long history. Let's not go there. Okay, so Aspilicueta for me, like what makes him different from others is his professionalism. I mean, let's be honest, Aspilicueta does not have pace. Okay, he does not have that pace. He's still in the wrong side of his 30s. Okay, then we have Aspilicueta playing day in day out. He just, if you look at him, won't even feel that he's overplayed. But every match he goes in, he puts his 100%, and that's what matters, I think, for the team. And everyone has a very good relationship with him, and that makes him very, he's very vocal in the pitch as well. Many of the fans don't agree to it, but he's very vocal about everything, and he's involved in all the incidents that take place inside the pitch, and you can see it in his performances. I mean, everybody ruled him out last season when he had a couple of bad games in the first part of the season and also the season prior to that. But the way he backed it up, the way he backs it up, he's always active in the field. You cannot catch him off guard for a single second. That's his biggest point. You can beat him in pace. You can beat him in pace, but you cannot catch him off guard for even a single second. And for me, he's still the best 1v1 defender we have in our team.
There was one point of time where we Man United fans used to say Dave saves, and then that suddenly Dave is no longer saving. He's in Europa League trying to save
and
other
we
teams.
got him for 7 million.
Of course.
And he has
You know what is Azpilicueta's nickname?
Dave.
Yeah.
And Dave still saves, I'm telling
Yeah,
you. Yes, Dave still saves our asses.
Yeah, of course, all the time, right?
And Ritankar is naming his first son Dave.
Yeah.
It's a running joke that we have.
I remember when Azpilicueta came from Marseille. A friend of mine is a very close Chelsea fan, and I asked him, "Who's this guy? I haven't heard much about him, man." He said, "Nor have I, but I have high hopes that he'll be a decent player because he isn't that tall. He's not 6 feet, but at least what I've seen from Marseille, he has good game reading. I think for someone who wants to play for Chelsea, you need to have good game reading." So we used to have this lot of debate where we used to say, "यार हमारा तो एक ही tall center back था, John Terry, Ricardo Carvalho भी उतना tall नहीं था, decent ही था, but Azpilicueta will do well." And I was like, "नहीं यार, देखते हैं. I mean, you're signing someone from Marseille. His name is not Marseille Desailly, So give him time. And over the period, he signed in 2011, 12, 13 season. It's almost 9-10 years. And probably Azpilicueta is one of the cult heroes of Chelsea as well because he's
legend.
He's an absolute legend.
I think one of
No doubts
Chelsea's
about
biggest
it.
icons also signed from Marseille, right?
Who?
Yes.
Didier Drogba.
King Didier.
I think one of Chelsea's biggest icons also signed from Marseille.
Of course.
The signings that we have done from
Mr.
Premier League,
Abramovich, please pay 24 million and don't ask me why.
16.
Just pay the
16
money.
million,
Don't ask me why.
Yeah,
And
just
don't
pay the
ask me
money.
why.
Yeah.
Judge when he leaves.
And you have a statue. King
And
Didier always has a statue wherever
The
he goes.
French League, the players that we have brought from French League.
Also, you have
Marseille.
to mark Azpilicueta's fitness here.
Yeah, no doubt.
How many
He's what,
times you
34,
have
no?
heard
He's 30. Sorry, he's 32, 33. How much?
32, I guess.
He will be 32
yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
32, yes. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's my
hardly
main point.
seen-
He's 5'10", right? He's 5'10", and for a Premier League defender, 5'10" is like below average height.
Very average side, yeah.
Very average height, and he's not built like a Gattuso.
Yeah.
Right? He's probably built like any of us. And
I think only player who I've ever seen getting better of Azpilicueta every time is Christian Eriksen. I don't know why, but Christian Eriksen always got better of Azpilicueta, and I used to wonder what happens with him. It's Christian Eriksen, for God's sake. He's not good for Spurs also. Please let him go to some other club like Madrid or whatever. And every time I've seen, and Christian Eriksen always tries to target him. God knows why, some weird thing.
I don't understand how Azpilicueta doesn't get beaten in the air. Like he got beaten last match against Real Madrid, but that was an anomaly. He's like 5'10".
Yeah, usually he doesn't.
He always wins the balls, even in the
I
air.
think that's because
crazy.
I think that's because he does not leave his position very quickly. He always waits till
He's
the ball.
very close to the
Another
his
point
body
I
as
want to add here. I don't remember the last time he saw it. That was in the FA Cup final, I guess. But no, that's
interesting.
Yeah. So he is very disciplined that way. That's what he has simple attributes to his game. Prashant, he has very simple attributes, and that only makes him a very good footballer.
There was an Opta stat that till 2018 January, in his Chelsea career, Azpilicueta has made one mistake leading to a goal.
That's it.
Yeah. One mistake leading to a goal till 20. As a left back, as a right back, as a centre back.
By the way, Azpilicueta does not have a red card actually. He's got two yellows and then
he has one red card. He's got one red. I think it was an FA Cup game against Crystal Palace, or I think it was Crystal Palace, and it was a Premier League game.
Okay, fair.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Now we spoke about cult heroes. Now we spoke about cult heroes from Chelsea side, and if there is one cult hero who I think deserves a lot of mention in the current Real Madrid team is Sergio Ramos. Things have not been looked good for Sergio Ramos this year at all. I mean, he came back, injury, again injured, not a consistent Sergio Ramos scene. And, whenever football as a sport talks about centre backs, you can talk about Carles Puyol, you can talk about Baresi, you can talk about Maldini, you can talk about Sergio Ramos as well. I mean, for all the troll merchants and memes who say that he's a red card material. He always gets red card. But I always want to judge a centre back by the performance he does on the pitch. And like Rajdeep always tells me, he's a mentality monster.
प्रशांत नायर तेरे मुंह में घी शक्कर
क्यों? रेड कार्ड के लिए?
Okay, fun fact is Ramos hasn't received a red card
this season, yeah, because he has hardly played.
It's called, see,
don't you think it's high time? It's due for it, right?
Until now, yeah. I mean,
it's due for a big game.
Greatest.
And the reason why I mentioned,
I mentioned
Sergio Ramos in this conversation about the grades of the game is that I judge a centre back by the performance he does on the pitch. Yeah, I mean, it's okay that he's not classical centre back like a John Terry or a Rio Ferdinand where they can read the game, they can tackle and go. Ramos is rough. We all know it. I mean, yeah, he did pull Mo Salah's hand, and I couldn't care much about it because that is what he's done. You knew for years that a right back from Sevilla, when he joined Madrid, his game has developed, evolved. He's become more rough because that's his way of survival, and he's done that for years now. But the way how his career is panning out at Real Madrid, it looks like the end of the journey. He might get a contract extension. You never know. So I just wanted to ask both of you, what exactly went wrong with Sergio Ramos throughout?
I think what went wrong with Sergio Ramos this particular calendar year can be summed up with two words: Eder Militao. I think I remember Ramos being absent in that 1-3 tie against Juventus when we started Jesus Vallejo, and we were all over the place. Juventus were almost through. And then again, that alleged intentional yellow card against Ajax. Second leg, I think one of their players, currently Hakim Ziyech, he just ran rings around Marcelo and destroyed us. So it has been the trend that whenever Ramos is out,
there was one more player, Shubhodip, who ran riot in that game. Dusan Tadic.
Yeah. Another Southampton reject.
Yeah, Southampton reject. I don't know how, why. Yeah, and there is another Man United guy who's on the bench, but he played some absolute peach balls during that day, which is Van de Beek.
Also, nice of you to exclude Frenkie de Jong. I appreciate that.
Okay, fair.
We are not talking about players from Crime Vidya Mandir. But all jokes apart, I don't think Ramos has been poor on the pitch. As like I said, he has only had 125 minutes of football since that Atletico Bilbao tie on 15th January. So, but Real Madrid haven't really missed him, and I think this is what is probably perhaps going against him slightly, that the club do not consider him as indispensable as they did perhaps 3 years ago. I think you talked about Ramos's red card reputation. I think his last red card was against Atletico Bilbao in an away match in 2017. I'm not sure if he's gotten a red card since then. So he has clearly made up for that. And I think last season Real Madrid had the best defensive record in Europe, and he was at the center of it. This season also, I think we have only conceded 24 goals, and only Atletico 22 have conceded less than us, and Lille and City are on 24. That's it for Europe. We have like the joint third best defensive record in Europe. Without
fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, as much as I like Sergio Ramos and what kind of a player he is, and I think football needs to respect a lot of Sergio Ramos, but everyone will remember for his missed penalty, will remember for the red cards, etc., etc. Sorry, Deepan,
the last match in which Real Madrid went out of the Champions League was against Man City.
He didn't play that match. He didn't.
Yeah, because he got a red card in the at Bernabeu.
No, he got 2 yellow cards.
Yeah, that 2 yellows. Yeah, that's a red, right? So basically, he was sent off.
Like not straight red. That's what.
Okay.
He hadn't got a straight red.
वो Excel में filter नहीं होता क्या?
Behavior by you? What is this behavior by you Real Madrid fans, man? So I'm telling you what's gonna happen. Timo is gonna redeem himself by winning a penalty against Ramos, who will get sent off.
Or it can also happen the other way. Mohamed Salah still has nightmares of facing him. That was Mohamed Salah, who was quick and who was a bit bulky. This is Timo Werner, and he's German. This guy's Spanish. They'll just push him off the line, man. It can happen that side.
I mean, you guys don't want Werner to play, but taking Havertz, and you want Werner to get a penalty.
He will come on in the 70th minute, no?
Yeah, fair.
So by then we will probably have shipped up Ramos already because he's just coming up from
The
injury.
70-minute, no, the 70-minute always reminds me of one player, which is Mesut Ozil. 70 मिनट का player है भाई वो. 70 मिनट के बाद Mesut Ozil is गायब.
Chuck the India fan, Shah Rukh Khan.
मतलब he's 70-minute player. But anyways, jokes apart, we're not talking about Mesut Ozil, and I hope he really recovers quickly from his injury, etc. Shubhadeep, so Shubhadeep, what are your predictions for tomorrow's game? Do you think it will be a straight victory for Madrid, or do you think it'll be one of those games where it goes to extra time and then penalty, etc., etc.?
I think 2-2 scoreline on the night, and Real Madrid goes to an away goals. My
Ooh.
personal prediction.
Wicked. He's all thinking
Yeah,
about
because-
that away goal and 2-2. मतलब draw भी चाहिए भाई को, but away goal का advantage चाहिए.
Yeah, because see, this is Chelsea's game of the season. I know they have the FA Cup final coming up, but this is something they would definitely not want to miss a chance against. Because with the present squad, I'm not sure they will be confident they can make the CL semi-finals next year. And most importantly, Real Madrid have not beaten Chelsea in a comparative match. I think I brought this up in the last
time.
meeting as well. Yeah, we lost to them twice in the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup final and once in the UEFA Super Cup. And Dave Sexton, one of their former managers, is one of the only managers, along with Sir Alex Ferguson, Helenio Herrera, Bela Gutman, I think, and Diego Simeone, to beat Real Madrid in a European final.
Fair. Rajdeep, what do you have to say on that?
History is not on our side.
Okay, history may not be on our side.
History is always with Man United. Don't worry.
It's Champions League. History will always be with Real Madrid only.
Yeah, of course. No jokes.
तुम्हारे मुंह में खिसक कर अब. But on the serious note, personally, I would like a 1-0 win. Super shutdown defense and lone goal by, like, if all things go ideal, Eden Hazard will score the goal. But life is not ideal. I am seeing a 1-1 draw where the game goes to extra time. Or as Shubhadeep said, a 2-2 will be nice too. But I'm seeing a 1-1 because no one has enough players to score 2 goals.
That was like saying that Timo Werner को आगे खेला तो 2 goal नहीं होगा. But anyways, I get what you're saying. Deepan, do you agree with what either of them said? Do you think it is going to an extra time, or do you think that it will be a shutdown game by Madrid and you just have to expect to attack and attack and attack?
Oh, so I don't think it will be a shutdown game by Madrid. The only way it can be a shutdown game by Madrid is if they score first.
Yeah, agreed.
And Chelsea don't really concede at Stamford Bridge. So, I'll tell you, if Chelsea scores one first, then it can be anything. It can be a 2-1 Real Madrid victory. It can be a 1-1 and penalties and all those things. But most likely, if we score, I think we should keep the clean sheet and win. But if Real Madrid scores first, they are definitely going through.
You said in the start as well, whoever scores first wins the tie. Simple as that.
Yeah, I actually said that before the podcast. Whoever scores first wins.
And going with what Deepan said, we need to score within the first 25 to 30 minutes. Like,
permutation combination kahan se kiya tune? Because
no, like before the players get time to settle. If you score, like, there's a time that players get the ball rolling and they get the face surrounding.
The nerves are all calmed down.
Exactly.
It's all the game.
So, we have to score before 20 minutes, then shut down everything. Like, that's the game. That's what we have to do.
You want to have Real Madrid. Sorry.
If Real Madrid scores first and somehow Chelsea still qualifies, okay, I'll take this as a Champions League victory.
Fair.
I have nothing more to see.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, they have seen from the worst. I mean, Branislav Ivanovic scored from 2 corners, man. They have seen that day and they're seeing tomorrow. So that's not a long, far-fetched dream for them. But anyways, Ritankar, do you agree with Deepan's prediction, or do you think you might just thrash them? It's quite possible with the football what you're playing.
No. So what I believe is that we are going away with a 1-0 victory. And so the defense has been a strong point after Thomas Tuchel has arrived. So, and we have
nothing new. That's Chelsea. The defense has to be the strong point.
But we were lost somewhere in the middle. So Tuchel kind of revived us, and I think that will be a 1-0 victory for us. but we have to be very sure that there are no errors leading to any goals. And since if Sergio Ramos is back tomorrow, that's a big reason to worry for us. Because that mentality, if you see the last game very minutely, there was the spirit missing from the Madrid team.
Yeah.
I mean, so if Ramos is there, that can be, like you said, previously, he's a mentality monster.
No, that's
Plus,
Rajdeep.
plus,
That's not my word.
Yeah. But he is
plus
a
Ramos
mentality
is
monster.
also a very good aerial threat, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Hey, Ramos might
absolutely.
just score and win the tie for you guys. I mean,
Yeah, he always does it, man. He always does it. Not once. I mean, you talk about
and
Champions League, you talk about big
Ramos
games.
can win the tie for them. Ramos is very capable of winning the tie for us.
Yeah,
So
quite possible. Quite possible. But having said all of it, guys, I have a very weird feeling that you will end in a 0-0 draw. And I
and we'll go
know,
through.
yeah, I have a very weird feeling that will end in a 0-0 draw.
This is
अब
just
इसके मुंह
EPL
पे घी
bias.
शक्कर डालो.
ये
घी
शक्कर क्या मैं
शक्कर
तेरे को
डालो.
मैं तेरे को उबर ईट से खाना मंगवा के देगा ठीक है
Thanks. But
Yeah,
on a
Swiggy
serious
said.
note, why I think it will be a 0-0 draw is because even if I'm saying, even if Sergio Ramos starts, right, for Madrid, I have a very weird feeling that this Madrid team, like you rightly said, like lacks that killer instinct. They don't have that killer instinct, and no matter how much goals Karim Benzema scores, right, probably you still need to have the attitude of he who must not be named playing up front. You need that guy's desire up front, and this Madrid team slightly lacks it. While for Chelsea, right, like you said, it is the biggest game of most of these players' life. They might have, how the season started, how Lampard went midway. They might have not even thought they are here. So they might just give it all. It can also work both ways, where they can come under pressure. And a team like Real Madrid knows absolutely to cash in on the opposition when they're slightly facing the heat. Like I said to you in the start of the podcast, Madrid drew the last game by sheer experience. They didn't play bad, they didn't play good, but they just saw the moment where
get the
Chelsea
job
were
done.
where they just saw that moment in the game where their 5-7 minutes where Chelsea were trying to be uneasy. They were very restless, and that's when Madrid just calmed the game down. They had 2-3 chances. Benzema hit the post. Vinicius ran twice, and then Benzema got and the corner, and then Benzema just scored what he usually does. So that's why I think that it's matter of time that things might change here or there. But anyways, it was once again lovely to
On the
chat to you
topic,
people. Sorry, go on.
on the topic of he who must not be named, I
Hmm.
was checking the list of top goal scorers for Real Madrid in the past 4 seasons since 2017.
Hmm.
Number one is of course Karim Benzema with 86 goals.
Hmm.
Second on that list is he who must not be named with 44 goals, and
Hmm.
he's left Real Madrid 3 seasons ago. And
Hmm.
I think it's the same with Chelsea. The second top scorer, I'm not sure if he's the top scorer. I think it's Tammy Abraham now. Since 2017
should
is
be.
Eden Hazard for Chelsea.
What is your point here?
The point is very simple. I think your prediction in the end of the day would be right. Like both these teams lack that killer instinct and that real alpha up front.
Yeah, I mean, with no disrespect to either of the teams, I don't know. I'm just a very classic old fan of Champions League, where I know that there are strikers where I like those strikers who smell goals. I like those strikers where there's not a chance they'll smell goal and score. Karim Benzema does that, but he cannot do in week out.
Timo Werner will.
German sniper hai bhai wo. So let's see tomorrow. But once again, guys, I think it's been fun chatting with you people once again, especially to Deepan, Rajdeep and Shubhodip. Ritankar, I know it's your first time and I hope you had fun because I have a feeling that as much as we had fun discussing this, the game is going to be an absolute dead rubber because I just have this weird feeling as much as we hype some games, right? So it's just going to be dead rubber. And on the other side, I just hope that whoever wins the tie, please make sure that Man City does not win the Champions League because I really cannot live my life where I have seen Liverpool win a Premier League and now Man City winning a Champions League. That's like, I don't know. I think I'll just quit watching football and then I'll watch Indian elections, which are much more entertaining than all of this. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot once again. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you people.